All right, so we're also gonna talk about Missing Link here. I don't know why this game isn't getting any play, bro. I don't I don't know why y'all niggas sleeping on Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. I mean, yeah, it's a mobile game. Fair. You don't like mobile games. Fair. I'm gonna be honest. I can't even sit through a mobile game like that. If they would have put Kingdom Hearts Key in any type of version on the Switch, I would play through it fully. But of course, I can't get into mobile games myself, but this looks like on some level at least it's going to be a mix of that kind of combo modifier because we saw multiple combos in the trailer. It looks like it's and it looks very very close to being done. I mean, there may be some more polish that needs to be done with the overworld for like Skylar Kylam and shit because that shit looked fucking weird. That shit looked weird though, but I mean, it could also. I'm hoping. What I'm hoping is not a fucking Pokemon Go like game because that's what it kind of looked like. That's what it kind of looked like. I'm hoping it's just a regular game. And you don't have to be out and about and traversing, your surroundings and stuff to really be able to get to bits of the story. Hopefully not. But when it came to the gameplay, I mean, everything looked okay. I mean, it looked like we'll be using medals to emulate characters' abilities and characters' movesets, but at the same time too, it did seem like there was combo modifiers in there. What was weird was the way that we saw them jump, like the way that they got up into the air and used magic and stuff. It kind of looked a little weird. It kind of looked a little like janky, like, well, not even janky, but it looked like if you in the air and you use attacks, you'll sort of like float for a little while, and like once you do it, like how Sora, when you use magic in the air, he would kind of like do that drifting thing to where he still moves and stuff. It looked like that, but like a less refined version of that, which could be trouble depending on how well the enemy AI and the enemy move sets will be. But of course, the game itself looks okay. I mean, definitely, I think it's probably going to be up there in quality with games like BBS, especially if we can meld medals and put them together and stuff and combine their abilities, kind of like how we got to do with commands. I mean, that would be great. When it comes to the story, which is what I really want to talk about, because I watched this trailer 20 fucking times, bro. Like, I literally know it's exactly 20 times. And when it comes to the story, I'm of the belief that this is the story of young Sigurd, who I also believe is Luxord. Now, when I brought this up, a lot of people thought to themselves, well, how can it be Luxord if, of course, if since this character doesn't look the same? And then people brought up the good point, valid point, that it seems to be just a default model because there's a female character. But did you take in the fact, or did you see the fact that it seemed like multiplayer will actually be in this game? Because at one point there's three legitimate player characters running around. If they're not AI NPCs, then they are indeed other players. And if that's the case, then of course it makes sense that we will be able to modify the character or even have the character be another sex, female. You know, with that being the case, it's more than likely probably going to be an Assassin's Creed situation to where the actual story itself is based on young Sigurd. I think that it being based on young Sigurd is probably going to be the most likely thing that's going to happen. And when I say young Sigurd, I also mean young Luxord. When I explained it, in text, I said Luxord because everyone knows who Luxord is. Everyone doesn't know who Sigurd is. So I just went ahead and used Luxord. But when it comes to that whole situation, I think the way that is going to play out, because there's so much, even within the trailer, we see a hooded figure walking in Skylar Kylam. We know that this game is going to take place, after the creation of Skylar Kylam. This is around the time when it can either take place when young Xehanort was there, or it can take place sometime after. I'm gonna say it takes place sometime after because I believe Brain was brought back sometime after, not sometime before. He's not Ericus's ancestor. I don't think so. But we know that this is the Kingdom Hearts 358 days over two shit coming in. observing, the world presented to us within the trailer, we saw that the island of Skylar Akylum that they're on is a huge, gigantic castle. This is indicative to me that this will be taking place with the royal family. The royal family will be pivotal to this story. The missing link. We've never seen the royal family. They were mentioned by Xehanort though. So the missing link, the royal family. The royal family's potential royal guard, the scholars of Scholar at Kylum, all of that stuff. The missing link. It all fits into this one mode, of course, and then the game is supposed to be based on Skylar Kylum. Even the hooded figure appears in Skylar Kylum. We're gonna see Brain at some point in this game, and if you look at that scene when we see him again and he's holding his head and he looks up to the stars, that looks like it's like the ending of the fucking game. That looks like it's the ending of the game. Now this could be, it could be the case that it is Sigurd. It is Sigurd. You'll play as Sigurd, and potentially Sigurd is just like a stand-in, and we're going to be Sigurd. But I mean, that could literally be the case that our player character may be the person that undertakes, of course, the mantle of Luxord in the world of Quadratum, in the world of Verum Rex. Perhaps we're Luxord. Of course, we're running around within the story, or we've been running around within the story for all this time as Luxord. And this game is going to give us control over that character. But I do believe that basically what's going on here is that we're a trainee under the Royals and the Scholars of Scholar at Kylum, as this game will take place, as far as we know, on an island of Scholar at Kylum that has a gigantic fucking castle. I mean, this thing is fucking huge compared to the other few little shits we've seen. Even the one that Sora visits, the one Odin's fucking castle, that shit dwells in comparison to the one we saw on this island. So that tells me straight up, the royal family, the observable details are telling me the royal family. We saw the way that the character is dressed. If it's not Sigurd or Luxord, the way that the character is dressed, it seems like this person is connected to, at the very least, in some form, that same group that Sigurd was a part of. It's potentially possible that what happens is, when they're first starting off, they start off in these white suits. They start off in these white versions of the outfit, which is supposed to symbolize youth, purity, and, beginner class. And then, as we see our character go up, we'll have the ability to change into other outfits while being able to still wear, anyone we want. But I mean, we're technically supposed to head up in outfits. And the last one, if my estimations are correct and my theory is correct, then, the last outfit we'll probably get is the Sigurd outfit. And we'll find out that all this time we've just been playing as Luxord, but we were allowed to create our own characters. We were allowed to create our own characters and have our own fun and, craft a story with us being in the story. But this whole time we've actually been playing as Sigurd, or as I believe, we've been playing as Sigurd, who in the world of Verum Rex is Luxord. I think that would potentially be the best way to give us the missing link, because we have someone that's under the royal family, someone that when they first appeared seemed to be under the Scholars of Scholar at Kylum. So why not just go ahead and make a game, a mobile game, I mean, real easy, a mobile game, to where we will simply play as this character until the time when Brain appears, and then we can finally get the information on what it was that they wanted Brain for. I mean, Square Enix is not a studio that has never done anything like this before. They did, in Dirge of Cerberus, there was canon stuff as far as, like, the multiplayer co-op type of thing it had. There was canon stuff to the story then, to where, you play as a actual character that was important, but, your player character is a stand-in for that character. Your player character is a stand-in for that character. So, I mean, it's not like this is out of the realm of possibility when it comes to Square Enix. And even when it comes to stuff such as, like, Assassin's Creed, I mean, we could be seeing a story like that to where you can kind of modify and make the character however you want them to be. But of course, the character still is the character at the end of the day that the story says they are. So if the character, I mean, if the story was based around a male character, of course, modern day Assassin's Creed games allows you to play as a female character, but the canon version of the story is that the male character was the one that was taking part in these events. Same thing, vice versa. Sometimes, or in recent memory, there's been one game. I mean, there's two games where the guy was the canon character, and then there's been one game where you could be male or female, but I mean, the female character was the predominant character or the canon character. So it could be the same thing here, to where we will get to make and modify the character however we want them to, but it will still be the story of Luxord. It's just for the sake of giving you a personal stylized touch to the game that we will be actually controlling these other characters. Now, the hooded coat figure, I think that it's Brain, as Luxu had control over him. I think that is Brain. And then, as far as Brain himself is concerned, I think that would be closer to the midway to the end point of the story. And this will be after our character has probably gone through a time skip and grown up a little bit. And after going through that time skip and growing up a little bit, of course, we will see the cutscene where Sigurd finds Brain. And when he finds Brain, then of course, that'll be the end of the game after we find out what it is that he went off to do. As it seems like, again, the royal family or the scholars at Skylight Kylam was waiting for Brain for a specific mission, as Sigurd takes him first to their HQ. He does not take him to get settled in, he takes him to HQ. So whatever they've been waiting on him for, it has some sense of urgency to it. And I think that's because of the fact that he will be Yozora. They've been waiting on him as, of course, this legendary Keyblade master, this past Union leader, to take up the mantle of Yozora. And Sigurd is just one of probably the 5 individuals that seem to also be traversing unreality with the character of Yozora, who will be, of course, other characters. We may see them as well. And this potentially goes into why you even see a female character. Potentially, if you're a male character, you'll have Sigurd. If you're a female character, there may be another character that'll get introduced in this story to where they technically are a canon character, but we are given the ability to modify them and personalize and stylize them in the way that fits us best, kind of like how you've seen in Assassin's Creed games and how you've seen in even Dirge of Cerberus, to where the multiplayer component of that game, which this game does seem to have multiplayer for the first time in Kingdom Hearts, did have canon content. However, you were able to stylize, personalize, and be the character you wanted to be. So let me know what you guys think about this. Um, Another thing too, as far as like the shining lights and stuff and how the lights contorted to Brain or whoever appearing, we saw in that scene that the stars and stuff were shining like in rapid succession, like in rapid fire off. They were all shining and then getting dim again and shining again. If you look closely, you can see that with, I mean, you don't even need to look closely. If you observe the stars, you will see that. I think that comes from hearts of characters and stuff, resonating with the fact that he's appeared here, that he's come. And the night that, he made it there, the stars were reacting because, everyone's heart, as far as the recreation of the world, everyone's heart was shining with joy, just like how the Dream Eaters came to Sora with joy to see him because he will be the one to save them. Brain plays a pivotal role as far as to the plans of potentially how Ephemera set things up, as again, the royal family or the scholars of Skylight Kylam knew exactly when Brain would appear. So I would think that it's potentially part of, the whole prophecy thing that we've been going through with the Kingdom Hearts series lately. That Brain, with the coming of Brain comes the age of the true master of the true master of the X Blade, Sora. The coming of Brain means, of course, he will more than likely be saved. They're getting closer to that point, and Sora will in turn save them. And that's my thoughts on, the whole missing link as far as what we know thus far. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming and everything you do. Don't forget to keep it A-class, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace the heck